Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Eve, everyone. And it's good to be back in front of you, sharing yet more information to help you on your Black woman's journey beyond. I am Dr. Eve. In 2016, I decided to leave the job for the work that I'm called to do beyond glass ceilings of a 9 to 5. I'm so excited because I have been on this journey for a while and have been able to utilize the gifting that has been bestowed upon me to help other women to get beyond or be on that journey beyond toxicity, beyond limits, beyond whatever her story is, beyond the dot dot dot. So again, I am Dr. Eve. As you can see, I align all of my work that I do with my value system of unity, self-determination, cooperative economics, collective worker responsibility, purpose, creativity, and faith, alongside my natural strengths of community activation, connectedness, maximizing influence, and of course, self assurance. And I do these things within that strength zone, within the values and the credentials that I was able to gain with God's help over the last 30 years. I don't know what your story is, but I know that we are all called to do something beautiful and that we are God's social proof. So I wanted to touch base with you real quick on this Good Sunday, just to talk a little bit about those next steps. In my last video, I talked about, what my why I left, some of the things and reasons why, and the journey I had to take. Some of the things that I did, I prepped before, and that is so required, y'all. Since the US teaches us, or what the Western world has taught us, is that they teach us that we go out and get a job, when that is not what our Father in heaven intended for us all to do. However, so since we are on that journey, many of us have adopted the framework of, go to school, get a job, and but what do you do? What do you do after 5? What do you do when your 9 to 5 is what you've been doing, or not necessarily called to do, but it is your work that you get paid for. But it is not the thing that makes you happy. It's not the thing that you would do whether someone paid you or not. Really, if you think back over your life when you was a kid, somewhere throughout that you can remember saying to yourself, I want to be. And I remember a lot of that in my life. And I'm actually walking into that, walked out so much of it, manifested much of it. And I am just on assignment to be the social proof that you can transition from a job to the work where God will take care and supply your every need. So again, I'm Dr. Eve. So this word social proof, I mean, that was one of the things that I had to do when I became a gig worker, because that's where I started. I started as a gig worker. Like, okay, how do I transition into making some money now? Like, how do I set my business up to do this now? I started with gig work. My first contract was in Bangladesh doing search engine optimization. Many of you know that word as SEO. That was making sure that posts reached to the top of the internet through certain language, certain, like AI, certain language, platform language that you use in your post that will make your post, optimized to the top of the stream. So I was doing that work for some companies in Bangladesh, right? Really learning the technical side of positioning yourself in the internet space. So I also began during that process, began to build out my resume, begin to build my platforms, build out my social media, build out all the things, and most importantly, be of service. So while I was in service to others, I was building out my social media in a way that, it was, you don't just start yesterday. You started this work years ago. So in starting the work years ago with children, integrating and literally going in with my hands and building a computer access center for the community, for the children, for the families in the Meadowbrook area, it was what was needed. And as I did that, I began to build out the portfolio. So the work begins. It was the work that I would do whether somebody paid me or not. Why? Because it was my natural strength. So let's talk about this word, social proof. Social proof is a term that is defined as the psychological phenomenon in which individuals are influenced by the actions and choices of others. In context of marketing, it refers to the positive impact created when potential customers see that existing customers are using and endorsing a particular product or service. So essentially, what that means is putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, putting your relationship with others out there. What is the impact that you have or having on the life of others? What is the impact that you're having on your community? What is the impact that you're having on the family? All the things that we were able to do. So when I think about social impact, I'm going to give you my love story, like literally a labor of love. When I was working with the kids in the community, solving problems was the reason why I was doing it, because you go after the problem. When you go after the problem, you find your purpose. Let me just say that to all of you out there. When you find the problem, solve it. If you find the problem and you can solve it, then you have created an opportunity for you to be able to grow in the things that God has called you to do, which is called your purpose. So, in finding this problem being like front and center in my face, like it was a family thing. So I literally was like, okay, well, somebody's got to do it. You know what God said? You're going to do it. So as hard as and difficult as it was, because adversity does happen in our lives, and as difficult as it was, sometimes we got to labor through the thing, right? Because God will come back and do a recall on your life if you're not moving in the direction that he wants you to go. It's kind of like he's the manufacturer of your life. He's given a warranty about you, your name, and your image. But when you aren't working properly, he's going to recall. So, y'all, that's a whole sermon, right? He's going to recall you, and he may even put adversity in your place, adversity or problems in your life, so that he can correct. He can correct, because guess what he's got? His name, your image is a guarantee that he's God. So I say all that to say that you are his social proof, and that you, when you find the problem, have to solve it. So in solving this problem, the biggest thing was putting it out there, like who's helping the families. What was the impact of putting the center together? People didn't think that we needed it. That's why we were forgotten about. North of the river didn't have any resources. All we had were schools. We had schools, elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. But our middle schools and some of our children were at risk. And the reason why they were at risk is because, think about it, children at that age are too young to get a job and too old to be in the after school programs at the elementary schools. So, and they didn't have these programs at the middle school. So you're talking about children who are in a really high risk transitional phase of hormones and all kinds of thoughts and all kinds of this, growing pains, all kinds of things are happening. And it was really happening to our middle school students. So I was tasked with, what can I do to support that? Why? Because I had some middle grade school students. So I was the perfect person to try to find a solution to this problem. My solution was resources. God puts us in charge of his resources. We were called to lead and to handle and to manage his resources. And so in the management of those resources, I had a job to do, and that was to make these resources useful in a way to protect who? His children, right? And so, in the process of all of that, we taught them skills, we showed them how to present, how to do the things that they enjoy, and how to just be. And not only that, but we made history in that process. We gave notice to the community. Hey, we live here, regardless of what y'all think, whether you counted us in the census or not. We actually live over here. Our children live over here, and here they are. So the job was to present that to the community. And of course, by presenting that labor of love to the community, handling God's resources in a mighty way, it inevitably led to the building of the Boys and Girls Club. That's called social proof. All right. So I want you all to begin to think about, how are you managing your time after 5? You have a job, but you're called to work. You have a job, but you're called to work. And so in the calling of your work, you can't just after 5, just like, oh, I'm off, I'm out, that's it. No, you have a special assignment. You have to begin to work that gift. You have to begin to, yeah, that's it, work that gift. Okay. So for all of my beautiful queens out there, and the kings that you're growing, and the kings that you're married to, hey y'all, please, it is time for us to gainfully have all the things that our Father wants for us. And so I'm going to tap a little bit further into one of the things that in developing my social proof. I gave you the first thing. I gave you an example of what that looks like. So this first part is, you want to begin to look at exceeding expectations. What that simply means is, it's the cornerstone of social proof through high quality products and exceptional services. Now, when I think about that first project out the gate, I had no choice. I had to utilize a lot of resources. I had to present my case, and I had to utilize all the services around me to make this happen. So what did I do? I collaborated with the schools. I had to first understand who my customer was, right? Understanding my customer, setting some clear goals and some standards, and developing quality control process around that to implement a rigorous quality control process to ensure that my products and services met the established standards consistently. So I knew what the problem was. I knew what I had to do. And now, how do I do this consistently, right? So I created an after school, I integrated programs, after school program, a tutorial program, family night, all the things. I had to consistently add the value into the program. And I also had to invest in my own training and development. Now, mind you, here's where this is so important. My audience was families who was truly struggling with an issue that was happening in that moment, and that was delinquency. Okay, so big problem. First time, you don't understand why it's happening. You don't understand why some people do things right, and then other people just defy the law. So because I didn't understand these things, because I had to literally get some knowledge about it. So what did I do? I went back to school. Hence, criminal justice, delinquent, all the things, substance abuse counseling, all the things that was affecting and impairing. I found along the way in this process that was a hindrance to our families. So mind you, this is the perfect example of how and what I had to do to provide and exceed beyond the expectation. This is called exceeding beyond the expectations, which is the cornerstone of social proof through high quality products and exceptional services. And it really required a lot of work, but the impact was worth it. So that became this huge social proof display. People could see this work. not that you're there to see it, but let me tell you something. Let me just go back for a second because I want y'all to understand something about our Father. He is so amazing. And I just want to touch base on something that I think is critical. And I hope that you can still see me while I'm streaming, but I wanted to just chime in to this some notes that I took about this particular chapter, exceeding expectations, and how does this align with you being God's social proof? Well, in Colossians 3:23 and 24, he says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. So, in regardless of whether I had a target audience, I was really serving this audience, but doing it unto the Lord. The next one is Proverbs 22 and 29. Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of any lower rank. So it's really important that we realize why we're doing this work, because there was help needed in the vineyard. When there's help, a problem in the vineyard, he is always going to use a vessel to go and do the work. Matthew 5 and 16, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Because if you're doing this work unto the Father in heaven, then of course your light is going to shine. You will exceed the expectations. In Ephesians 6 and 7, it says, serve wholeheartedly as if you were serving the Lord, not people. So I just wanted to stop in real quick and give you some themes about exceeding expectations. So we are always want to make sure that we are in complete alignment with what our Father in heaven is saying about the quote work that he has called us to do. I am Dr. Eve, and I am God's social proof. I am here to help Black women on the journey beyond glass ceilings, whatever that prompt is for you. I am here to do that. I left my job in 2016 to do the work of the Lord in the field and to be his social proof. So without much said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out the next video. And until next time, may you have the most amazing day. And whatever you do, let no one get in the way. Peace and blessings to you all.